It was 2:07 a.m. when the desperate knocking began at the tall blue gate of Plot 17, Harmony Heights estate, not far from the border between the rich and the forgotten. The security lights flickered once, as if warning the night itself of what was coming. Bang. 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 The sound was weak, almost trembling, but urgent. Not the confident knock of a visitor, or the soft tap of a neighbor. It was broken. Ragged. Like someone who had been knocking for hours on life itself, and was now on their last try. Baba Tund, the elderly night guard originally from Ibadan, Nigeria, straightened in his chair. He rubbed his eyes. "Who dey knock for this kind hour?" he muttered. He stepped out of the gatehouse, dragging his old coat tighter across his chest. The night was unusually cold, even the wind was silent. He approached the gate and called out, "Hello? Who's there?" Silence. He clicked on his flashlight and slowly unbolted the small side door. His breath caught in his throat when the beam of light landed on her. A woman was collapsed at the foot of the gate. She was lying on her side, knees curled up like a child, barefoot, her face hidden under a mess of dusty braids and what was left of a once expensive wig. Her clothes, torn at the sides, soaked from sweat, dirt, and, was that blood? But the scariest part? She was holding a cracked picture frame tight to her chest. Her lips were moving, but no sound came. "Madam?" Baba Tund dropped to his knees. "Madam, can you hear me?" She opened one swollen eye, red and glossy. Her face, her face, looked like it had kissed the ground too many times. One cheekbone was bruised. Her bottom lip was split. A faded smear of lipstick still clung to the corner of her mouth. And then she whispered, barely, "Please, tell him. I'm sorry." Her voice was like crushed leaves. Weak. Dry. Heartbroken. "Who?" Baba Tund asked. But she passed out. His flashlight caught the edge of the photo frame she held. He took it gently from her hand and wiped the glass. His eyes widened. It was a picture of Kwabena, the quiet, hard-working man who lived in the main house. A man of deep patience, the type who fixed his own tap instead of calling the plumber. The kind who washed his car every Sunday morning in slippers, humming old love songs. The man who never raised his voice, even when his world collapsed. This woman. This was Alma. Yes. The Alma everyone used to whisper about. She had been the crown jewel of the estate. Tall. Golden brown skin that shimmered like sun-kissed honey. Eyes that danced. A waist that moved like music. When she walked, men turned. When she laughed, the air shifted. Even married women stared, biting their tongues in jealousy. And now, here she was, shivering at the feet of a man she once abandoned like garbage. Baba Tund picked his phone and dialed. "Sir, forgive me for calling at this time. But, there's a woman at your gate. And I think it's your ex-wife." Inside the house, Kwabena had been reading a book on financial leadership, glasses on, legs crossed calmly. His wife, Naledi, a kind, gentle woman from Gaborone, Botswana, was beside him sipping rooibos tea. When the call came, Kwabena stood slowly. He didn't panic. He simply removed his glasses and placed the book aside. Outside, the cold slapped him in the face. He stepped through the gate, and when he saw her, his breath caught. Alma. Her name choked his throat. He hadn't seen her in 5 years. Not since the night she walked out with her heels clicking against the tiles, dragging her suitcase behind her like a final insult. She'd left him for a politician. For power. For comfort. For a promise of better. Now she was here. Broken. Finished. Destroyed. His hand shook, but he swallowed it. "Get the gate open," he told Baba Tund quietly. Naledi stepped forward without hesitation. She wasn't angry. She wasn't jealous. She was simply kind. We can't leave her here, she said, kneeling next to the woman who once mocked her husband for earning pennies. Kwabena nodded. Help me carry her. They lifted her together, carefully, respectfully. Inside the house, they lay her gently on the couch. Naledi brought a wet towel and dabbed the wounds on her forehead. Alma stirred weakly. Her lips trembled as she stared at the ceiling. Then she turned her head and saw him. Kwabena. She began to cry, not loudly, but the kind of silent crying that comes from deep, deep shame. I ruined everything, she whispered. I laughed at your love. I traded you for fake gold. And I paid in blood. Her tears soaked the blanket Naledi had laid over her. And her fingers still clutched the cracked photo frame. It was the only piece of him she had kept. And it had led her home. Before the bruises. Before the shame. Before she fainted at the gate like a forgotten rag. Alma was the queen of every room she entered. Born in Kumasi, Ghana, raised partly in Uganda, she had the kind of beauty that made women hold their husbands' hands tighter. Her eyes sparkled like danger. Her laughter? Addictive. She walked with grace, talked with confidence, and dressed like a woman who believed the world owed her softness. And she had married Kwabena, a gentleman who worked as a supply clerk at a local hardware company. Humble. Loyal. Never raised his voice. He made just enough to pay the rent, keep the lights on, and buy her flowers every Friday from a vendor called Mama Injeri. He worshipped the ground she walked on. But the world didn't. Alma, this man doesn't match your standard. That's what her friends always said. At weddings, women would whisper, look at her, beauty like that with a man who takes the bus? At salons, if I had that face, I'd never suffer for love. She's wasting herself. Even men joked openly at bars, Kwabena. My brother. God bless you. Oh. Me, I'd never let a wife like that walk alone. You better hold her tight, rich men are hunting. Kwabena would smile and say. If she chose me, then I must be enough. But deep inside, those words dug holes in Alma's pride. She had once believed love was enough. That smiles and prayers could replace champagne and designer bags. But slowly, her heart began to ache when she saw her old university friends living their soft life, luxury handbags, Dubai photos, salon days paid by men with wide wallets and no shame. Meanwhile, she and Kwabena were counting coins. Budgeting tomatoes. Patching the same pair of slippers. Alma tried. She tried to silence the hunger in her chest. But Instagram made it louder. Her group chats made it worse. And one day, temptation knocked. It came in the form of Honorable Peter Mzamo, a smooth-talking, sharply dressed politician from Malawi. She met him at a wedding where Kwabena was ushering guests and she was left sitting alone. He walked up to her like he owned the floor. Who abandoned such beauty, he said, smiling as he kissed her hand. My husband is just busy helping. Helping? Or hiding? A man should never leave gold unattended. She laughed. Flattered. Flustered. But she told herself it was innocent. Until the gifts started arriving. A new phone. A bouquet of 100 roses. A wine hamper with a note, your smile deserves more than your house can afford. She hid it all. Lied. Told Kwabena they were office giveaways. He believed her, as always. Then came the breaking point. One rainy evening, she returned from the market to find Kwabena boiling his socks on the gas cooker. Yes, love. The water removes the smell faster, he explained cheerfully. I'll use the same water to mop. Alma stared in silence. The walls of their one-bedroom flat felt like they were shrinking. She dropped the groceries and went into the bedroom. Closed the door. And cried. Not because she hated him. But because she hated what life had made of them. That night, Honorable Mzamo texted again. You don't have to live like this, Alma. Let me show you how a queen should be treated. This time, she didn't delete it. She replied. When? Over the next weeks, she changed. Slowly. She came home later. Laughed less. Her kisses became colder. Her dreams? Bigger. Kwabena noticed. Is everything okay? Just tired, she'd say. He believed her, again. One day, while folding laundry, he held her blouse to his chest and whispered, I know I'm not rich, but I'll get us there. She smiled, and felt guilt stab her heart. But it wasn't enough to stop her. 2 weeks later, she told Kwabena she was visiting her cousin for the weekend. He gave her fare and a packed snack. She took the bag. And never came back. The hotel room smelled of cinnamon candles and betrayal. Alma stood on the 15th floor balcony at Pullview Suites, wearing a satin robe and red heels. From above, the city lights twinkled like stars. Below, her old world was still struggling, buses, smoke, cheap sulfurias banging in crowded kitchens. But up here, soft life whispered to her. She sipped red wine. A Louis Vuitton bag sat on the glass table, beside a stack of cash she hadn't even counted. Her phone buzzed constantly, friends begging for links, old classmates complimenting her glow. She had made it. Or so it seemed. Honorable Peter Mzamo knew how to make a woman feel like a goddess. He flew her to Abuja, Nairobi, and Maputo, sometimes just for dinner. Booked the best rooms. Gave her money without asking questions. Bought her perfumes she couldn't pronounce and shoes her friends only saw on Beyoncé. She changed her wardrobe. Got new wigs every week. Her nails stayed done. Her smile, oh, her Instagram smile, sparkled brighter than ever. But what the world didn't see was that she only saw him on weekends. Always weekends. Fridays, he'd send a driver. She'd be swept into luxury. Saturday? Laughter, wine. Music, midnight whispers. But by Sunday night, he was gone. No calls. No texts. Just silence until the next Friday. She tried not to ask questions. Tried to enjoy the moment. But soon, her heart started to itch. One night, as they lay in a bubble bath, Alma softly asked, Do you love me? Mzamo chuckled, sipped champagne. Alma, what is love when you already have comfort? But, do I mean anything to you? He didn't answer immediately. Then, you're special, yes. But don't get carried away. This is a beautiful arrangement. Let's keep it sweet. That's when she realized she was a secret. No one knew her. No photos. No public dinners. Just dim hotel lights and late check-ins. A few weeks later, she found a gold chain in the bathroom. But it wasn't hers. When she asked, he brushed it off. I have many female friends. Don't start acting like a wife. The words cut. But she didn't argue. Because where would she go? By the 3rd month, things started changing. The money came slower. He started canceling weekends. One day, she called and another woman answered. She recognized the voice, a TV presenter. Alma's hands trembled. She didn't cry. She simply sat down and stared at the wall. 4 hours. The final straw? She found out she was pregnant. Terrified but hopeful, she told him. Silence. Then a short reply. Remove it. I'm not ready for scandals. She felt the world spin. No apology. No, are you okay? Just instructions to erase herself. She couldn't eat for 3 days. The girl who once had beauty, power, and men on their knees, now sat curled in a designer robe, crying into hotel sheets, feeling used and unwanted. Alma had thought she was a queen. But she was just a weekend wife. A Friday fantasy. A Saturday toy. A Sunday memory. She tried calling her friends. Some ignored. One told her, "Girl, you were warned." Even the cousin she had lied about to leave Quibina had moved on with a new life and blocked her. Suddenly, the world was silent. No driver. No cash. No more soft life. Only tears. And a small life growing inside her. One morning, she looked in the mirror and didn't recognize her reflection. The spark was gone. Her eyes were swollen. Her heart? Shattered. And that's when she picked up her torn handbag, stuffed a cracked photo of Quibina inside, and walked out. No plan. No pride. Just pain. The first night she slept outside, it rained. Not the soft romantic rain that makes people cuddle under blankets. This was vengeful rain, wild, angry, full of thunder that cracked the sky and lightning that exposed her shame every few seconds. Alma sat in the shadow of an abandoned shopfront, arms wrapped around her knees, a lasso tied over her once golden braids. Her designer blouse was soaked through, clinging to her skin like a second humiliation. Beside her was her last possession, a small, tattered handbag holding only a lip balm, and a cracked photo frame of Quibina smiling in a blue work uniform. The glass had chipped. The frame bent. But she still looked at it every hour like a ritual. It reminded her of when she still had warmth. Love. A roof. It had been 9 days since Mzamo vanished. 9 days of rejection, hunger, and slow decay. The moment she told him about the pregnancy, he stopped picking her calls. His driver never showed up again. His guards wouldn't let her past the gate. She had nowhere to go. No one to call. She tried reaching out to her university friend, Doreen, who used to beg for her skincare routine. Doreen answered. Then laughed. Amma? Soft life queen? What are you doing with a cracked voice? Click. The landlady of her apartment, tired of hearing "I'll pay you next week," threw her things into the corridor. Alma begged. Wept. But the woman only pointed to her eye and said, "You see this face? Tears don't work here." So she walked. Miles. In heels that blistered her feet. With nothing but silence eating her thoughts and guilt riding her back like a ghost. On day 5, she went to a nearby church, hoping to talk to a pastor. She entered, trembling. A woman in a white headscarf took one look and said, "Sister, please, not today. Come back after Sunday service." No food. No prayer. Just another shut door. Even God seemed to be on voicemail. By day 7, she was surviving on tap water and leftovers from the bin behind a fast food joint. She waited until the workers left, then tiptoed behind the dumpster, where bits of chicken bones, half-eaten chips, and oily bread scraps waited. Each bite tasted like punishment. She felt her baby flutter. "Forgive me," she whispered. That night, a boda rider slowed down when he saw her on the curb. His eyes squinted. Then widened. "Iya. Wait, Alma? Is that you?" He chuckled, revving the engine. "Yanni the queen of filters? Soft life swallowed you whole?" Then he sped off, his laughter echoing through the darkness. She covered her face with her scarf, her shoulders shaking as she cried. Even her shadow, the version of herself she once flaunted, had left her. She tried entering a hospital when her stomach cramped, scared for her unborn baby. The nurse, tired and busy, barely looked at her. "Madam, are you registered?" "No?" "Then go to the county hospital." Another cold step. Another door closed. One evening, she walked past a big mirror outside a fashion store and saw her reflection. Alma froze. She didn't recognize the woman looking back. Her once glowing skin was dull. Her lips dry. Her waist, once her pride, was thin and weak. She looked like a ghost of her old self, wearing cracked heels, limping slightly, and walking with no direction. And in that moment, reality sliced her open like a knife. She whispered, "I have nothing. No home. No friends. No man. No reputation. Just a baby in her belly. And a photo of a man she mocked, left, and betrayed. That night, she lay outside a closed hardware store, head resting on a folded sweater. And for the first time in years, she prayed. Not for cars. Not for riches. Just for one more chance. God, she whispered, eyes closed, raindrops trickling down her temples. Please, don't let me die like this. Let me see him again. Just once. Let me say sorry. In the morning, she stood up. Weak. Lightheaded. But determined. She pulled out the photo from her bag, stared at it, kissed it softly, then tucked it against her chest. And she started walking. Past the roads she once drove through in luxury cars. Past the salon where women used to beg for her beauty tips. Past everything that mocked her now. Until she reached the old estate where Kwabena used to live. She didn't know if he still stayed there. She didn't know if he'd even speak to her. But her body moved on its own. By the time she reached plot 17, the stars were fading. The world was quiet. The sky still dark. She knocked. Once. Twice. Then fell to the ground, holding her belly, holding the photo, holding on to hope. And as her vision blurred, the only words she could whisper were, "Tell him. I'm sorry." Alma never remembered how she collapsed. All she recalled was the sound of her own heartbeat echoing in her ears as she fell to the cold concrete outside plot 17. The cracked photo of Kwabena slipped from her fingers. Her last whisper, "Tell him I'm sorry," disappeared into the wind like a forgotten prayer. For a moment, the night stood still. The security light above flickered, and the gate creaked open. Baba Tund, the night guard, stood frozen, his flashlight shaking in his hand. He recognized her immediately, not from her face, which was now sunken and swollen, but from the way she still clutched the photograph like it was more precious than her own breath. "Eh God," he muttered, rushing to her side. "Madam Alma?" He called her name 3 times. No answer. He checked her pulse, weak, but alive. He bent down and gently took her into his arms. Her skin burned with fever. Her body trembled like dry leaves. She was barefoot, muddy, and soaked with sweat. "Please don't let her die in my house," he whispered to himself as he dialed Kwabena's number with shaking hands. Inside, Kwabena was seated on the couch with his new wife, Naledi. The TV played softly in the background, a local news channel reporting on fuel prices and storms. But their eyes were focused on the baby clothes spread across the table. They were expecting their first child, a miracle that had taken years and patience. Kwabena had finally found peace. Then the call came. Baba Tund's voice was tense. "Sir, please come outside. There's someone you used to love." Kwabena rose immediately. Naledi followed without asking. Something in her spirit whispered this night would test them both. They opened the gate. And there she was. Alma. The woman who once left him for luxury. The one who chose pride over partnership. The one who walked away without a goodbye. Now, she lay curled on the ground like a wounded animal. Dirty. Bruised. Her hair matted. Her lips trembling. And beside her, the photo of him, scratched, but still whole. Kwabena took one breath and stepped forward. His heart hurt, but not with love. With a deep, quiet ache. The kind that only old heartbreak can cause. "Alma," he said softly. She opened her eyes slowly, and when she saw him, she burst into tears. Not the loud, dramatic kind. But the silent, shoulder-shaking sobs of someone whose soul has shattered. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "I thought I was chasing comfort, but I lost myself. I lost everything. I'm not asking for anything, Kwabena. Just, don't let me die without your forgiveness." Kwabena knelt beside her. His hands didn't shake. His voice didn't crack. He simply took off his jacket and covered her shoulders. Naledi, without a word, ran inside and returned with hot tea, a clean towel, and her own scarf. Alma stared at her. You're his wife?" Naledi nodded. Her voice was soft but steady. "Yes. And I will take care of you tonight. Because you're carrying life. And because pain must never be left to rot." They brought her inside. She slept on the couch, wrapped in clean sheets, her head resting on a soft pillow. Naledi sat beside her all night, watching over her with the same care she showed her unborn child. Kwabena didn't speak much. He stood by the window, looking out into the street, arms folded. When morning came, Alma woke up slowly. And for a second, she smiled. Warmth. Cleanliness. Safety. She looked at Kwabena. "I don't deserve this." "No," he said. "You don't. But you still needed it." She sat up, tears forming again. "Please, can I stay? I have nowhere else. I don't need to be your wife. I just want to be safe." There was silence. Then Kwabena turned around and looked her in the eyes. "Alma, I forgave you the day you left. But I also healed. This is my home. My peace. I will help you, but you cannot stay here." Alma's lips quivered. "I understand. But," he added gently, "we've already arranged with a counselor and a shelter for women. It's clean. Safe. They'll care for you until you give birth. Naledi will take you there." Alma broke down again, this time, with gratitude. Before she left, Naledi gave her a small bag with clean clothes and toiletries. As Alma was stepping out, she paused, turned around, and said, "I used to think love was gifts, hotels, cars. But now I know, love is a man who still covers you with a coat when you crawl back broken." She clutched her belly. "And a woman who can forgive pain she didn't even cause." Naledi hugged her. "You are not trash, Alma. You're just finally human." 3 months later, a healthy baby girl was born. Alma named her Naledi Peace. She's rebuilding slowly, working at a small tailoring shop, attending counseling, and walking every day with her daughter strapped to her back. She still keeps the cracked photo of Kwabena. But now, she also has a photo of Naledi, the woman who taught her that kindness doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes, the soft life you crave isn't money. It's peace, forgiveness, and the ability to sleep knowing you didn't destroy someone who once loved you deeply. This story teaches that. Don't trade genuine love for temporary comfort. True wealth is found in the people who stay when life is hard, not those who appear when it's easy. Pride can make you leave, but only humility brings you back, and by then, the door may not stay open forever. Never forget, soft life without peace is just silent suffering in silk.